Hey, what's going on, everybody? I am BirdDogJon, and I'm just going to check my monitor here, make sure that everything is as I plan it to be. Get the music set up here so that I think we're all right there. Cool. All right, I think I'm all right. I like that. How's it going, everyone? Welcome back. Thanks for joining me today on this beautiful Tuesday morning. I'm not going to make that mistake again. I need to set my mixer up here to do just one quick thing. Monitor and output. Okay, cool. All right. So, happy Tuesday. This is the last week of the last full week of work here at Bird Dog Support. We'll be off several days next week and the following week, and we'll be all back on January 4th after the Christmas holiday. So, if you've submitted a new ticket in the past month, you have probably gotten a notice saying that, or maybe the last 2 weeks, saying that the support desk will be closed between the 24th of December, and it'll probably be like 23rd around noon Eastern Standard Time, onward to January 4th. And so, we won't get a whole lot done over that course of the week, but hopefully you're able to take some days off and a small break. Next week, we will run a show on Tuesday, and so you can join me here on Twitch next Tuesday. Next Thursday, however, we will be closed, and so the Twitch show won't happen for the rest of the year. So we've got 3 shows left, this one and 2 more, and we are all set for the new year. So, cheers. Join me for 3 more. Join me for this one and 2 more, and we'll answer all of your NDI inquiries. All right. Lots of stuff going on in the bird dog realm. Firmwares, new hires, training, and conversations about how to do this right next year and what our plans are for 2021 and all that sort of good stuff. So, we're excited about that. We believe that the firmware updates that were released recently, the re-release of those firmware updates is pretty imminent. We suspect that they'll be available relatively soon. I still can't give you a full date. I don't announce a date until it's officially announced on Facebook, because that would be like me committing someone else to work and a time frame. So I can't give you a quotable day. But the betas right now are in final check for definitely the P100, and I believe the P200 was moving into that state. So the guys are working on those firmwares, trying to iron them out. The catch is that if we make alterations to the firmware, we have to leave it in beta for like at least another 4 or 5 days. So the P100, the P100 had an update for the beta group just the other day. Let's scroll here. Hang on. P100 3760. It was shared on the 13th. So that was 2 days ago. Around the night of the 13th. So if you're here in the States with me, around 9-10 p.m. that update came out, which would have been there Wednesday morning. So essentially it's been out for 24 hours. There's a new version for the P100 in the beta group, along with a new download for cam control. I need to verify the download for cam control. I haven't gotten it to download just yet, so I'll check with my team, make sure that that's functioning correctly before I direct all your traffic over there. But there is a P100 update, which will require at least a baseboard, if not the if not additional. So, dude, when you start a sentence with dude, I don't know if you can follow it up with a serious question, but go ahead and give me a shot. What serious question do you have? Okay, so P100 update is on its way and is available for the beta group. So if you don't have access to that, you should probably check that out, especially if you're here. You're probably not just your average NDI user. Beyond that, the P200, it's the same update that we had before. Do you need Access Manager to have multicast? Yikes, that's a loaded question. It depends on how you're doing it, I guess. The multicast in nature is, it's your younger sibling's birthday. What is this? Okay, I'm gonna pass on this, man. Access to the multicast. There's a lot going on there. Like, multicast is a network protocol that basically ensures that the packets make it across the wire for the NDI device. Like, typically when you have a network device that connects to the network, it will broadcast and say, you know, I need this to go to, yeah, that wasn't really related to what it is that we're doing here. I was wondering if this was an NDI question, but it's something about buying an egg at a bakery and stuff. I don't know. Thanks, Pandorica. So the multicast stuff, it's not just a matter of turning on multicast on the devices. Multicast is quite a deep configuration on your layer 3 switches, okay? And all of your switches, in an NDI implementation, all of your switches need to be able to do multicast at a layer 3 level. So it's not just a matter of selecting that protocol on your device. Now, if you know all this, then great. I would highly suggest you consult like a new tech support for some of this, because it needs to be set up in a very specific way. If you've already done that, great. I don't think that Access Manager is necessarily required. However, if you're just looking for a way to quiet the traffic on the network, you may consider doing something like UDP protocol with a discovery server or something like that. Because what will happen there is the units will only broadcast. They won't wait for confirmation packets to come back like TCP. But if you're pointing everything at a discovery service, a discovery server, then that program actually takes in the transmit and receive lines for every NDI source on the network and can catalog it and traffic that. So in theory, instead of everyone broadcasting all of their signals all over your network, they're all pointed at one place. And so, your encoders and your decoders are just communicating with discovery service, which is running on a Windows computer, and then is able to hail and well met concern. How's it going, Beep Chirp? Welcome back, man. So as that stuff is being broadcast, it's just going to one IP address, which quiets the network a fair bit. And then your decoding sources, like they want to inquiry where, what are the addresses for all the sources that are encoding, and all they have to do is consult Discovery Service, and it'll get the full list. It will also get the ports and the methods in which that those things are being... So Discovery Service looks for listeners and for sources, and so broadcasts or encodes and then decodes. So it knows both. It knows what units are in what state. I could just actually even show you that, although I don't think I have any Discovery Service dudes here. So P200 set to multicast, switches to IGMP, and then some secret sauce that I don't have. Well, no, multicast network is not just turning on IGMP. IGMP is like it's one of the features of a layer 3 switch, but multicast is like a... How do I put this? Multicast is a method of network design. It's not a feature. You don't turn it off and on. It's like you start at the basis of this is going to be a multicast network, and then you get the services and the pieces that are required for that. You don't just like switch between the two. So It's a way of designing networks, and you surround it around the multicast protocol. Same thing with TCP and UDP, although that seems to be more the default that people go for. So, but you need the IGMP snooping to make multicast work properly. Correct. That's just it. Is the IGMP snooping is like one of the features that the switch needs to do, but that doesn't make it a multicast network. It's a lot more complicated than that. Multicast networks is like what people get paid $80,000-$90,000 in the US to manage. But that's like a real deal thing. And it's highly configurable, and it's very stable. It's a good way to do a lot of NDI sources. Just like people are well, that's the other thing is it's like people are like, well, I just, networks are networks, and that's like saying cars are cars. It's like, well, yeah, except if you're at all interested in cars, and then it's like there's thousands of types of cars, and they all do different things, and there are vehicles that aren't cars, but they're trucks, or they're vans, or they're sports cars, or there are utility cars, or there are, electric cars and gas cars and diesel cars, and it's like, no, it's just the data network. It's like, no, stop. We're talking about building a high performance video IP network. That's a very specific thing. Now you want to introduce multicast. That's also a very specific thing, and so that will take some training to do. Hey, wait a minute. What's up? Why are we ending the week today? Did I say that? Does it say that on my live stream or something? Where are you getting that information? Did I not update the title? I bet you I didn't. Come end the week with us. Yeah, okay. Alright, I'll change that. Edit. Come start the week. My bad. I looked at it and I was like, yeah, 11:10 to 12:10. That's fine. I'll push this change, but it won't work. It's in the title. Okay, I changed the title, everybody. Everybody calm down. Good catch, Beep Chirp. I'm going to just take the title off. I always screw that up. I mean, you can end the week right now if you want. Won't work for some of us, but do what you need to do. Beep Chirp, what did you do? Who did that? Nightbot blocked you? What did you write? Oh. Yeah, whatever. Yeah, he just laughed. Without spaces. Yes, I see. It shows it in the management side. The moderation side. Somebody is asking recommendations for NDI switch on our user group. Lots of people jumping in. Ubiquity Pro, Michael Graves. Luxol switches for installs, Philip Nelson. Cisco 350. Meraki and Ubiquity have a very bad multicast. Oh, there's something. Lucky, you can, depending on what switch you're using, Meraki and Ubiquity apparently are not the answer for multicast. Successfully using a non-PoE version of a TP-Link switch. TP-Link. That's funny. Not a fan of TP-Link or D-Link, if you haven't gathered by now. If this is the first time here, I'll give you a pass, but I don't speak highly of those two brands. You might love them. and that's your preference, but not for me. I've used them enough to know they're not for me. It's just like doing jobs when you're a kid. You find out what things you don't like to do. I don't want to stack firewood all my life. I did that for a while, and it taught me to stay in school. All right, back to Restream. Where are we here? Cool. With all things, it depends. It's true. Sometimes you ask somebody, what switch should I buy so that, you know, I can run my NDI network? And they give you this long look like this is the tip of the iceberg question. And then they look at you like, do I really want to get into all of this conversation with you about requirements and setup and configuration? And then if they recommend something to you and it doesn't work, then guess what? Then they're at your door saying, you know, you told me to buy this switch and it doesn't work. Like, what gives? You know? Like, well, anyway. That's why BirdDog does not recommend switches right now, because we can't be your network administrators. We need you to be your network administrator, or hire somebody, because again, that's a job. That's a real job in the world, is network admin. Agreed. There are trade-offs with everything. It's all like, what are you willing to work with? What are you willing to live with? You know, what's your budget? All sorts of stuff, right? My laptop doesn't have an Ethernet port, so I have to use USB-C. It's a no-no if you need to do any baseboard update, or if you need to do the baseboard update on a P100. How much can you manage manually? How much can you... Lucky, you should be able to interact with your NDI network without much issue. But you're going through another encode process, so... You know, anyway. Don't blame you for not recommending switches. Yeah. We're trying really hard not to recommend switches because we don't want to go down that path, but it's eventually someone's going to have to standardize it for the NDI industry. Baseboard update on the P100 doesn't even use the Ethernet port. You're right. I'm thinking USB. USB-C to USB-A to USB-B. That doesn't work very well. The Ethernet dongles don't work very well for Neuralizer. That's what it is. I knew it was something to do with Ethernet. Doesn't work well with Neuralizer. 60 frames 1080p feed. Can it be losing feed because of that? Maybe. I mean, it's, you know, it depends on who makes it. You know, what quality is it? Could be lots of things. Basically, you're introducing another, you know, you're introducing another bridge into the equation. So it could be. I don't know. You're watching it on Studio Monitor and seeing frames drop? Is that what you're doing? Is, you know, give me some more. How have you troubleshooted it so far? It depends. I imagine some work better than others. Agreed. BirdDog doesn't make one, so I can't say use this one because I know it works. You know, even these ones that are of pretty high caliber, you know, nice, good connections, you know, has like the rope on like a. We spent some money on these ones, and yeah, they work most of the time. Is it troubleshooted or troubleshot? It's I don't know. One of those. Ask Pandorica. She's the communications person. The jury is out. That's the politically correct answer. Not sure. Is it the CPU or network problem? Well, in general, I mean, are you watching the on the is it a Windows machine? Are you watching like you can see a little bit in Task Manager? I tell you the but it's consistent. Like consistently, like every 2 minutes, consistent, or consistent like, you know, what's consistent, because that might give us a clue in, like, how consistent maybe. Like crappy switches, for example, will pack up, and they'll literally back up with all the packets that they're supposed to be processing, and then they'll dump it, and they'll jump to the next frame, and then they'll be okay for a little while, and then it'll back up, the buffers, and then it will dump it, and then it will catch back up again and go. So if it's a consistent thing, that's probably a network problem, is what that is. You know, packets not being handled correctly. If you're going from the camera's Ethernet port to your computer, then that's probably the USB, or the USB dongle not being able to keep up, because that's consistent how that's been being dumped. Because it is about 130 megs now. Whoops. I have something being shipped to me by DHL, and they keep texting me. English, the Stack Exchange questions. Which is correct, troubleshooted or troubleshot? Is this even really the correct word to use? I troubleshooted it versus I troubleshot it. Answers: to troubleshoot is a verb in the to infinitive form. Present: I troubleshot it. No, I troubleshoot it. Simple past: I troubleshot it. Past perfect: I have troubleshot it. So it's troubleshot. That's what I'm gonna go with. Cool. Okay, that's done. Sorry, guys. Troubleshot. The Electro Voice RE20 and a stereo pair. What is this? I have something being shipped to me as well. Some new mics arriving. Okay, cool. Nice. Can I test it by connecting camera straight to computer, and then if that works, it's the switch? What switch are you using? Make and model. I'll tell you. I'm getting pretty good at this. And is it just one signal? Like, are you doing... What's the network load? And, you know, most business switches, mid-level business switches, could do 120 megs. But Soho stuff, the GS 1900. Yeah. Where are the texts? Specs. You're running the HP model, right? HP PoE Plus. Alright, so we've got 70 watts on the budget. fanless. Might be overheating. Heat dissipation, okay. Operating humidity, it's fine. It's got gigabit fixed ports. Oh wait, oh, sorry, I'm looking at the wrong one here. Why doesn't it tell me that information? Oh, here. Gigabit fixed, PoE. This just says PoE. Is it PoE or PoE plus? Well done, Discord. Slowly gaining ground. It's good for live conversation, I've seen. I'll open Discord. I'll get into it here. Yeah, we've got a Discord channel, everybody. So if you want to hang out with Beep Chirp and the likes of those guys, jump over to the Discord channel, which I posted at the beginning of the show. I will do it again now. Click on that link, and you'll be able to see what is going on there. It is called the Unofficial Unsupported BirdDog User Group on Discord. We've gotten a lot of people that are like, I don't use Facebook. And it's like, okay, fine. BirdDog Discord, what a dream. It's not urgent, but the number 8 on the keyboard is red. No idea why. I don't have 8 cameras. Also, 9 is kind of greeny? Newsworthy, I don't know, man. Had a new one with a non-sync. People are still using non-sync or no-sync. It's an issue with past several versions that happens when you select shutter priority. As long as you avoid shutter priority, as in remember where it is in the order and go around it, you should be good. What? Then I don't know how it keeps slipping through QA, probably because I've never heard of that problem before. What ticket is this? Kevin, if you're on here, give me the ticket number that you submitted this problem to for QA to look at. I don't remember reading shutter priority bricking the board and you have to do a reboot to get it to fix. That's why we haven't fixed it, because we don't have it in our system. I'm just gonna move this up a shade. Yeah, so I'm looking here at your spec sheet, Lucky. So this straight up says these are PoE ports. No indication here that the 8 unit does PoE plus. Doesn't say PoE plus on any of these spec sheets that I've seen. It says PoE switch, which would mean it's restricted to 15 watts, which is not enough for the P100. Which I believe you said you were using, right? Is that what you're using? Or is this just the studio? What did I miss here? Lucky. What BirdDog product are you using? I thought you said it was a P100, but maybe I just made an assumption that you were using a camera. I think I made an assumption. I've never seen a P100 draw more than 12 watts. I've seen one boot up with more than 15. I've seen one not move when it only had PoE. It drew 15.8 watts when it tried to move. And so they put it on a PoE Plus, and yes, oh, 2 P200s. Okay, yeah, those are 3 P200s. Yeah, okay, those are definitely going to draw more than 15 watts. So can you test, the way that I would test this and see if it is the switch power is to use the bricks that came with the cameras and boot them up with wall power instead of PoE power, and just see if they operate correctly without drop frames. Otherwise, I'm probably going to lean on the packet buffer size here is 525 kilobits. So we might need to, you know, it says, oh, it can forward 11.9 million packets per second. That's such a silly stat. Switching capacity, 16 gigabits. Again, stop. That's not those. We're not talking about video here. We're talking about data packets, not video packets. Jumbo frame should be turned off, by the way. This is a managed switch, so at least you get in and do some of that. But yeah, I would check and see. Yeah, I'm on your spec sheet that you sent here, and this is, yeah, the Amazon site is where I was looking at some of this. PoE switch with 70 watts. This says PoE Plus on the little drop-down thing, but that's inputted by a Amazon employee. This doesn't. The literature just says, oh, here. Plan for your future infrastructure. Choosing a PoE Plus switch that carries electrical currents. Where does it say that it's 30 watts? That's what I want to see. 30 watts per port. Let's just see if somebody's asked the question. PoE Plus. Can you confirm that all 24 ports are PoE? What voltage do they put out? This product page mixes PoE with non-PoE switches. There isn't a 24-port fanless PoE. Yada, yada, yada. Great PoE Plus switch with sufficient power for VoIP lines. Yeah, those are all under 15. Those are all PoE phones. My cameras draw 6 watts. Yeah, that's not... See, all these people are doing VoIP and security cameras. But I don't see anywhere that says how many watts per port. That's what I want to see. This, here. Does it show in the picture, maybe? Let's look at the picture and see if we can get close. Okay, this says 8. Yes, 30 watts per port. Thank you. Good golly. How come I had to search through pictures to find that information? All right, so we do have PoE Plus on this, so we should be all right there. Turn off any green Ethernet functions. Well, it says it has it. It says the ability to do jumbo frames up to 9,000 bytes. That definitely needs to be turned off. Turn off QoS as well. It says that that's a feature. Unless you're doing multicast. I mean, you've seen the network guide, right? The new tech network guide? NDI network requirements. Copy link address. This is, they recommend things in here. The following are recommended items. DHCP recommended to simplify your network configuration. Yeah, it recommends it. Read recommendation like required. It's not required, no, but it is strongly recommended that you use DHCP. Strongly recommended. The phrase I'm using right now is, we recommend you use DHCP like we recommend you not do heroin. That sort of recommendation. We recommend using DHCP. Alright. Well, it does say that jumbo frames are a thing, so you should be able to turn them off. On a managed switch, you can. That's a pretty basic feature. Like you recommend not doing what? I can only say it once, I'm sorry. I won't repeat that. It's inappropriate. I have DHCP, but I have locked MAC addresses to certain IPs. Okay, good. DHCP reservation. Yeah. That's good. You've been listening. That's accurate. Okay, so, all right. The switch, it may be the switch because it doesn't really have many, like a very big, robust packet buffer, and it doesn't have a few things that I would probably gravitate towards when I'm building a high performance video network. So, like 3 P200s, all right. So we're looking at 400 megs of data just coming in on 3 cameras alone. And depending on how you're bringing this into whatever, if you're taking it to vMix or whatever, that amount of data has to pass without overloading the packet buffers. So if you feel like, me personally, I don't think that the buffers on this thing are big enough, but you know, maybe put 1 camera on the switch and just have it, you know, give it the test and see what happens. It's probably not a power issue because there are a couple places, although not on their specifications page, which I think is odd, that I should definitely say PoE plus here. It just says PoE AT PoE ports 8, maximum budget 70. It doesn't actually say what it does per port, which is a pretty critical piece of information. Anyway, 720 works well. Oh, yes. Then you definitely probably do have a network problem. 720 sends about between 80 and 90 megs, somewhere in there, high 80s. So you go from 400, you know, to half of that, like 250. Again, if you remove 1 camera and run 1080p 60 and just see what happens, and just run it for a long period of time, and if it stays solid, then you know you add another camera and you find out what the threshold is of that switch. But if 720p works fine for all 3, well, that's 250 megs, you know. I haven't filed the ticket. I'm currently on the road, but I can get one filled when I'm back with the camera tomorrow. Okay, cool. All right, Kevin. Thanks, Beep Chirp. Beep is transcripting my questions. Yeah, I'm not necessarily following the Discord because, like I said, it's it's unsupported, so it doesn't look like I've missed too much. But yeah, definitely submit a ticket if you're finding that a sequence, like I can replicate it here in my office, right? If I can replicate it, then we can fix it. But to say something like, I don't really know why quality assurance hasn't caught this error, it's because we don't know about this error. So remember that we don't work in production environments. We invent products. And so we rely on people to tell us, hey, I encountered this issue, in order for us to discover them. And then we can address those issues, get them corrected in firmware, and move along. So, oh geez. In regards to Lucky, you were asking about UDP, multicast, a bunch of things. If you set your cameras to UDP, and then on your Windows machine you run Discovery Service and you point all of your cameras to Discovery Service, you'll probably get a more consistent signal across your switch. But that takes a little bit of customization and understanding how things are working. So what kinds of numbers switches do you need to have under the hood to have enough power in theory? Like what to watch for the specs? Well, again, it's pretty tough to say. It depends on what you're doing today. It depends on what else is happening. You know, if you've got a computer, if you've got vMix or Wirecast or whatever, or you're just using it for Studio Monitor, or you're using it for... There's lots of things to consider here. In general, I wouldn't obviously buy anything that's unmanaged, which you haven't done. I wouldn't... Not in general. I definitely wouldn't buy anything unmanaged. I'm beginning to refer to the unmanaged switch realm as the black hole of the NDI network, because that's pretty much what it is. And I can explain that at a later date. Yeah, it's really hard for me to say. I'm in the process of testing some switches, but they run somewhere in the $300, $400, $500 range right now. And it's really for the basic NDI setup from what I have right here. Like I've got 1, 2, 3 cameras and a controller, all different cameras, granted. P400, P200, P100, and a controller. So I'm trying to see how it behaves that way. Something mid business, entry level enterprise. A lot of guys are using Cisco 350. A lot of guys are using Microtech. You know, there are some Ubiquiti users out there, which I actually have a Ubiquiti rig here. Seems to be pretty consistent, but it's not a production rig, it's a testing rig. So, you know, like I'm not producing shows off of this stack. Now, I am producing a show off of a different Ubiquiti rig, but it's only 2 NDI sources. So, you know, that seems to be pretty stable. But I have a gateway governing the DHCP and doing, you know, some things on that side. So Sherman says he finds Ubiquiti okay for his needs. He needs to include not Microtech. Oh, see, somebody just suggested that on Facebook. They said, oh, I'm using Microtech. It works great. Beep Chirp says no to Microtech. See, this is the problem, is it's like we can't recommend something because it's like everybody has their preferences. It's like, what's the best shoe brand to buy? It's like, well, everybody has their, you know, somebody says they're all the same, or they're just shoes, or somebody says, you know, nobody can beat Nike, or I only buy Italian suede, or, you know, like, there's just so many out there that everybody has a lot of preferences. Ubiquiti's underrated, but if you need to be aware of the trade-off, but yes, you need to be aware of the trade-offs. Yes, Ubiquiti is not looking at video IP stuff. Like, that's not on their radar right now. I even talked to an engineer from Ubiquiti, and it's just not something they're just kind of catching their primary customers are small business owners, to be honest with you. A lot of offices going online with Ubiquiti. So, it's interesting. It's helpful. Useful information. There are trade-offs. And somebody said, don't bother doing multicast with Ubiquiti and Microtech online. So, there's that. Hey, just want to give a little welcome to anybody who's kind of snuck in here to hang out with us. We've got a handful of people in the chat room and some other people here. Let me open up my web UI and go over to our... So we got some people on other channels, not too many, but most of you are here on Twitch, and that's exciting. Let me know if you're here. Hit up the chat. Let us know you're hanging around. I appreciate that. We are going to go for another 15 minutes because I started 10 minutes late today. So 10 after is what I'm going to shoot for. But yeah, thanks for joining us. I really appreciate that. And you guys following this channel and being active in this show is very helpful. Because not only can we help each other, but this helps us kind of show what it is that we're doing with NDI and that sort of thing. Hey, I'm a new user to the Twitch show. Just wanted to ask about the 4K quads, whether they will support multiple encoding and decoding instead of the global mode. So that is in the roadmap for the final version of the firmware. It's one of the roadblocks right now that we have with the final firmware, so we're working on that as a feature set. Obviously, most of it is otherwise pretty stable, like we've got the other features online and working, but there's a couple things we got to iron out with the encode decode. And if you have been around BirdDog for quite a while, you will know that we attempted to push an older version of this into older hardware known as the BirdDog Studio and Mini, and found out that we just couldn't make that work right the way that we were designing it. So the guy who did that went pretty much right back to the drawing board and started over, and has reinvented the wheel, if you will, to make it work with, you know, brand new firmware and hardware and all that sort of good stuff. So they're working through that. I haven't actually gotten a update in terms of when that might be, but I know that that is, as soon as this color matrix business is done, quad is priority number one. So, and it has been for quite a while. So I don't know when that firmware is officially going to be released. The plan is that you should be able to manipulate per SDI port, setting it as an encoder or a decoder. Right now, like you said, it's a global mode, and so it's either all encode or all decode. But That's a fair bit easier to program than it is to individualize each one to operate independently. So it's a pretty cool little unit, and I've got one here. Oh, it's up there. But right now, it's that is the plan. It's just not ready yet. So that's the longest answer to the shortest thing I could have said. Welcome to Twitch. Appreciate that. And we've got a Discord channel as well. I don't know if you saw that earlier, but I'll put that link here in the chat, and you can continue the conversations over there. There are users helping users over there. I float in and out of that group every now and then just to kind of see what's going on and reminding people to submit tickets for problems they want us to address. So they're going to do that for me, and we'll take a look. We are, give you a little update as to how things are going with support. Working really hard at getting our ticket numbers down. We had a large influx after the firmware thing went on, and so we've been working really hard at getting those ticket numbers responded to and get them down, get them... If we respond to them and ask you to respond back or give you a resolution, we typically resolve or close the ticket, and then we let you reopen it if you need to. And so we've been working through those tickets a fair bit. You know, they keep creeping up and down, so trying to get things taken care of here. But we are moving to a new system. I'm trying to coordinate that this week. It's a bigger task than you think it is. And so we're moving over to a new system, a new global, support system, because I got new guys coming on. So newsworthy. I was probably 50% of those tickets. No, you had a few, but you definitely weren't 50% of them. So no worries about that. Hey Ben, thanks so much. The guy sounds like a legend. I found that it doesn't support level B 3G SDI for 1080p. Just FYI, thanks again so much. I believe, doesn't the website say level A? P4 4K family, 4K overview. I thought they specified which level it covers. I know the studio, it says level A on the tech specs. It doesn't say here. Shoot. I will check with them, but we will see if they will specify it anywhere. Find. Yeah, okay. Let me open this and get that specification onto the tech. Because if it does both, it should, it should do both. Man, we have found a lot of people are using 1080i or 1080p 50 for some reason. Tell me why. Why are you using... why are you using 50 instead of 60? I don't understand. Or 5994, or... Can somebody... Is it just like your preference? Or I don't understand what the draw to 50 frames is. I use 50, but I'm in the broadcast world. It's the most... is most of the planet outside of North America. Europe is 50. Film. It's to do with power. Film is 24, right? So double is 50. Alright. I think 50 looks unnatural, but anyways, that's just me. But again, I've only been really, been stuck in the US and Canada all my life, so I understand. I understand why. Alright, now I understand why. If it's the standard everywhere else, apparently. I know film is 24, and some of our devices will do that now. Yoink. All right, cool. All right, whoa. It's to match your electrical systems for your country, frame rates and power. Don't forget to join Discord. US is 60, most of the world is 50. Electrical systems, no flickering. Well, you can just use deflicker for that. I've got to drop. Take it easy, Beep Chirp. Thanks for hanging out, man. Broadcast is generally 1.5 bandwidth. Most broadcasts is 3G. Okay, so they will do 1080 30i. Yes. Okay, cool. All right. I just watch people's recordings at 1080p 50 and I'm like, something's not right. It just doesn't look right. The image is good, but it just looks a little unnatural. But if you're using double the frames for film, that I understand. Nice. See, that's useful information. Newsworthy. Nice. That's the manual way to get rid of flicker, right? Oh, there's a lot going on in the Discord channel. Well, there has since I was in here last. It's an old news hack shooting for US networks in Europe. Okay. Ugh. All right, guys. Well, yeah, take it easy, Ben. We will see you next time. Come hang out anytime. I feel like we all swarm to share our knowledge. We're just not used to that much activity. If you go onto Twitch and watch like Loco, or you watch any gamer that has like 200, 300, 400 people, it's just like a barrage of typing. How anybody follows any of it, I have no idea. But if we get to that level, then fine, we'll deal with that. But can't find jumbo frames from the whole 200-page manual. Yeah, that's a problem. So, what was the product? It's, this one right here. Could the jumbo frames be deactivated on the GS 1900? Well, they have a knowledge database. The jumbo frames cannot be modified or configured on this switch. So there it is. Seems like a weird feature to not be able to turn off, because you don't use it in every scenario. No idea. Senji, do the dipsters on the bottom of the futures? I don't. Got a P100 question here. It's a good question. What's the resolution on the USB, and is there a way to change the resolution on the USB out? I don't believe there is. I think the USB resolution is restricted, and it's pretty small, actually, if I'm not mistaken. Where's that USB cable? I don't know. Is it up here? No, it's not up there. Well, I've got a USB cable here somewhere that I will have to end up testing this and finding out. Uh, I would just test. I mean, you may not be totally up a creek, but I would test it and find out what the limit is of the switch. It doesn't look like it necessarily is in the game of NDI, but you know, you might be able to make it work for one or two sources. You should be able to handle one, you know, but if you need all three, then that's probably going to be a problem. If you put one on and it's stable, then you know that the switch probably can't handle it. It does, so. Yeah, I really don't know. I don't know where that USB cable got to. It's here somewhere. I don't take it anywhere else. No idea. Not where it's supposed to be. Okay, well. Oh, here it is. Here it is. Here it is. Sweet action. All right, so USB in. USB in. USB camera is online. I just heard it come on. I could probably do this inside of OBS, actually. Let's see. The router switch is a NAT, and that gives internet from the WAN to the switch. Can be anything? I wouldn't say anything, but just use remotely OSD to change the camera. Sorry. And now NDI isn't working. Yeah, I think that's because 720.29.97 isn't a format that works. All right. This is turning into a support case, so I need to probably address that in 2 minutes. Like TP-Link, don't use TP-Link. Please don't use TP-Link. As long as it's fast enough to respond in time, like there's a time limit, right? So the unit will request an IP address. The DHCP has to be able to turn around and issue an IP address and add it to its routing information and then send that to your layer 2 switches to add that to their routing tables and delegate and all that stuff. So if you want to trust your network to TP-Link and, you know, these entry-level Soho companies, I don't know. I can't promise you great performance. I know that we don't test our cameras on TP-Link switches or D-Link switches, or I don't even know how to pronounce this one that you're using, but I don't think we've ever used that switch. I know that they've used some low-level Netgear stuff. Not saying that Netgear is sanctioned, but I know that there are some because I have one of the switches here. It is currently only, though, on my home network and not on my NDI network. The ones that I carry, like I have a Ubiquiti rig that a lot of people have. I don't use 3 cameras at a time typically, so I can't say to that. But Sherman might be able to tell you if that's a reliable getup, or if he's had experience with it being reliable. He says, he says so. So that's something. There's also a chat going on right now on the user website about, what to be. Michael Olson is a rising star at Facebook user group for BirdDog. Can someone recommend me a switch? I'm considering using a TP-Link. Don't use TP-Link. Please don't. Somebody suggested Netgear GS5010PP 8-port. Tomer, and he does a lot, so that might be a good. Find something that works. Oops. So there are recommendations, just not out of BirdDog's mouth. So 4 P200s plus 6 studios in decode and 2 vMix systems on my Unify. So you're running what? A gateway and a 16 port 150? No, 16 port 250, or what are you running? The decodes are really the vMix and decodes are really the scary bit, because those are actually drawing down bit streams. So like every connection, if you've got 6 studios in decode plus 2 vMix systems, you are likely you're pushing 1.5 gigs potentially if everything's up and running and working all the time. That's a lot of data. More than 1.5 gigs. Okay, I have to attend to a burning fire, and so I'm gonna let you guys go. USG 10 gig switch, 24 port PoE plus, and a handful of 8 ports. Yeah, okay. So you spread the workload out over several switches. See, that I'm okay with. I'm all right if the fleet is able to handle it, but you know, like a mid-level switch like a Ubiquity is probably not going to be able to fill up all 8 ports and use NDI on all of them, you know. But you've got a couple of those, and you've got one, you know, the 10 gig switch, 24 port PoE plus. Yeah, you'd probably be all right. You'd probably be safe. I don't know. I mean, I don't use that configuration, but there's probably enough processing power there between all of those switches to handle all that data. So lots of switches with them all going to a 10 gig. Yeah, okay. Well, you should publish what it is that you use. Like, you should put it up on the BirdDog website and say, hey guys, I have good results with this rig. That would help out a lot of people. I mean, they may come to you if they have problems, but it would help out a lot of people. All right, I got to let you guys go. I got to get over to this case that's on fire. And so we will talk on Thursday. I'll be back. We're going to do 2 more shows this week. And that should be good stuff. And then Christmas break is upon us. So get your Christmas shopping done. Be sure that you stay safe out there in the next couple of days. And we'll see you on Thursday, hopefully around 11, to do this all over again. So take care of yourselves. I really appreciate you guys giving me a hand with working through the chat and talking about stuff. And we'll catch you guys on the next one. So peace out. See you later, guys.